What's up, guys? Josh Sykes with Bent Rods Guide Service. It is mid-September out here on Toledo Bend, and we are kind of transitioning from a summer pattern to a fall pattern. We're kind of in that late summer, early fall, right around lake turnover time. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, so I'm going to clue you in on a little transition and really go over my top 5 baits that I'm going to be throwing probably for the next month to month and a half until we get into a full-fledged fall pattern. So the water temps have been falling quite a bit. We're down to about 81, 82 degree water temps, which is a huge boost from 93, 94 like it was about a month ago. I mean, it's got a lot of these fish very, very active. So I'm throwing moving baits this time of year, and I'm throwing stuff that I can cover a lot of water. And so each morning, the first thing I'm picking up is some sort of crankbait. You can see here, this is a DT16, DT16 and a shad pattern crankbait. But man, they're chasing shad really, really thick. You can see a little bit better here with the color. But man, this DT16, what I love about it for a late summer type crankbait is a very, very subtle action. If you actually look at the bait itself, it's a balsa bait, so it's a lot quieter than a plastic bait. And it's a very thin bait with a very, very tight wobble. It comes through the water column, almost like a finesse type deep crank. And so, I kind of get away from the big C15, 6XDs, 8XDs, because they seem to like that subtle action on a DT series in late summer. So I'm picking that up, and if they're eating it, I don't put it down. But a lot of days I catch them till about 9 o'clock, and they kind of get off the crankbait, and that's when I'm going to go to even some more subtle stuff. And so after that, typically I'm going to pick up a small swim bait. You can see here, this is a Megabass Spark Shad on a Megabass jig head. It's got this little spinner on the front. And I seem to get more bites on the jig head with the spinner. And so this is the setup that I really like. I've got this on 10-pound fluorocarbon line. I'll throw it on a spinning rod sometimes or a little light. This is almost like a jerkbait rod, a light action rod. And man, this thing will absolutely catch them. I use my live scope, and I'm live scoping groups of fish and throwing that swim bait over the top of them and catching some fish that will not react to that crankbait. Just a little more subtle action, but something that's still imitating shad and something I can still cover a lot of water with. Another thing that I've always got tied on this time of year, and I'm going to cover a lot of water with, is a yellow magic, right? A yellow magic or a spook, but some sort of nice, good shad pattern topwater bait will catch fish. We've seen quite a few schoolers coming up on some of these main lake flats. So I've always got that tied on my front deck, because if they come up busting, I want to get in them quick and catch a few of them before they go back down. And then a bait that is gaining huge popularity right now is a glide bait. This is a glide bait made by Preacher Custom Lures. This is a crappie pattern. I absolutely love this glide bait throwing around brush piles. But man, don't overlook this glide bait around those large schools of fish. And so the other day I was in a drain, and it was just a pile of fish was running in and out of that drain. It was hard to stay up on top of them and really scope them because they were moving so much. But that glide bait, I can pull fish from so far off to come look at it, and it will catch big fish this time of year. So a big glide bait is a great way to catch some large fish this time of year. And then lastly, the old standard Carolina rig. Carolina rig gets a lot of bites year round. But this is what I do different on my Carolina rig in late summer and early fall, is I get away from the creature baits, and I'm going to go to something with a boot tail on it. This is just a swim Cinco. This is probably my favorite Carolina rig bait for this time of year. Something I can drag real fast, cover a lot of water, and these fish are so keyed in on shad that this little boot tail gives it a shad, kind of like a shad pattern or a shad image, and so something they can key in on that they're used to seeing. Then they're feeding on, and they'll eat this swim Cinco. This one's just, I mean, it's chewed up. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it will catch a pile of fish as well. If they get off that, I'll throw a fluke, but something's going to imitate a shad on the back side of my Carolina rig. So that's kind of what's in my lineup from mid-September to really about mid-October. And then it'll start changing more to a crankbait Alabama rig, and we'll go through some of that later on. But this is what I'll be throwing for the next month. We're catching a ton of fish right now, a lot of good fish. It's been a whole lot of fun, and we expect it to continue. So if you got any questions or comments or want to see us do a video on anything else, hey, drop it in the comment box. We would love to help you out.